Hello, everybody! Another interview from Gencon, or that we wanted to do at Gencon, but did not have the time to do it. Today, we are joined by Brendon from 3D Virtual Tabletop. It is a program, a web app, and an app for iPod and Android, and iPad, whichever, that allows you to simulate, as its name says, a virtual tabletop in 3D. And I've had a little bit of time to play with it, and it looks very, very cool. And as usual, I'm Faust, and I'm joined today by Jay.
Yes, indeed. Hello, everybody.
And our special guest today is Brendon Duncan. Hello, Brendon.
Hello, my name's Brendon, and I'm the creator of 3D Virtual Tabletop.
Nice. So, the people watching right now will be able to see that I've imported two pogs, two little character portraits already. And right now it's looking bare bones, but that's just because it is a blank map that you can insert terrain and drop things onto. I gave the little characters something to stand on, just so they aren't falling into the abyss. And so yeah, if Brendon, if you'd like to kind of walk me through what to do here. I'm very curious to hear how you'd suggest one get started.
Well, a first thing you can do is change the view to suit your needs. Some people like top down, some people like to really zoom in on their character.
Oh yeah, the top down does that's awesome. And then we've got the high perspective and the low perspective.
Yeah, because one of the things I specifically made this for was that often on like a movie poster or the front of a book or on the description of the monster manual, you'll see like the front view of a character or a monster or something.
Yeah.
And most tabletops, you're looking at the top of their head.
Yeah.
And that's just that doesn't really inspire my imagination so much by looking at the top of someone's head. And so I made it so you can actually see them standing up.
Nice. Yeah, I quite like that. It helps me to place them better in 3D space.
It's also really good too when you're fighting a big monster like a giant. You can actually see it towering over your character.
You're like, oh, so that's how much bigger it is than me.
Yeah. And sometimes sort of players can get a bit surprised. Oh, he can do that because he's that big. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Oh, he can just.
But it's nice to have that scale of it.
You don't need those protracted explanations of like, oh, it's this many meters tall. No, you can see how many meters tall it is immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way to simulate the miniature feeling of like, oh, we played this game and actually brought all of our miniatures along.
Yeah, yeah. On the right, we've got the shop, which is full of like maps that you guys. Have you guys made those maps, or who made those maps?
The people at Dark Raven Games made those maps.
Cool.
It's a little bit sparse at the moment, but our plan is to get more people on board.
Yeah.
I've got more than 100 maps awaiting my time to put them in, actually.
Whoa. Oh, man. Yeah.
So that's,
For everybody listening, 3D Tabletop it's pretty new, right? Like you guys, how long have you guys been working on this?
Well, the web version is only about 3 weeks old in terms of being publicly available.
Okay,
so everything's brand spanking new, and I'm currently got my head down trying to pump out all the things people want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I had no idea that the web version was only 3 weeks old. It works extremely well for being that young. I haven't had a chance to check out the app or like tablet versions. Are there any differences between the two?
Well, it's probably a good time to point out that the web app version works really well on the iPad.
Yes, I would bet.
And it's because I've sort of kept that in mind. And the thing about the mobile versions is I've sort of, for the moment, I'm sort of holding development on those. My main focus is the web app.
Awesome.
Because I found that the system I was using to create those was causing me a few problems. And so to actually make some forward progress, I've turned to the web pretty much because I find it easier to get things done.
Exactly. I feel like the web app's probably also easier to access for people. But yeah,
you can just send them a link in the game instantly. So.
And running down the list of buttons, we've got the minis button, which is where you get like your tokens. You can import your own with the new button here on the right, and people can see I've imported some characters from TI. It also comes with a list of tokens already in the game, Oh God, two. Oh, I made too many of the. Let's just
That's
fix
fine.
that.
Yeah, well, once again, that list is I've got a backlog of things to add to
Nice.
that.
Yeah, and then there's maps. There is a sample map which I will pop up later. But what I had right now is a blank map that I generated, and I just tossed down a little thing. And what I've been most excited about is this terrain button right here.
Yes.
Now this
This
is
excited me too.
yeah. The terrain button is. I was messing with it before we started talking, and I just built like this mega fortress. I wiped the slate clean for the purpose of demonstration, but yeah, I'm going to start constructing things.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Clicking the terrain button gives you just a couple different options for like different tiles you can toss down, like corner tiles, and then you can like if you put one down and you want to flip it around, you can just oh man, that sounds like the hokey pokey. You can just double click it and it'll bring up a little list of menus. And if you drop down a door, you can like open and close it. Let's do that right here. Here, let me flip the camera around. Woo! Now, Brendon, I'm actually curious. What do you see whenever, like, from your point of view? Do you see what I'm seeing? Like, does your camera follow mine, or?
My camera is independent.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's good because some people that I play with do like the top-down view anyway, and so they can play with that view, while I can play with the one where I'm actually seeing the minis.
Okay. Interesting.
And if you do want to restrict the view, the best way to do that is with Fog of War.
Yes.
Because Fog of War does act with the 2D map and also with 3D.
Okay. And how do I lay down Fog of War? Or do I just
You click the Fog of War button.
Okay.
And you usually start off with hiding the whole map.
Uh-huh.
In which case, now I can't see anything. I can't see any menus or any terrain.
Yeah, I've blinded everybody.
Yeah, but then if you go to show, you'll then be able to drag areas on the map and reveal them. So now I can see 3 terrain tiles and 2 characters.
Okay. That's pretty cool. That's not where I want that wall.
Because like you get some physical layouts with physical tiles, and you have to set up the entire table.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a long time, and everyone can see anything. Sometimes you put sheets over it or something, but this way you can lay out, like as you said, like a mega dungeon, and just gradually parts of it.
Yeah. So something that I talked about with what brought you to our attention actually was we found your booth at Gencon, and we were talking to I believe Bevan was his name.
That was correct.
Yeah. And we were talking about the potential for custom tiles and custom things. Do you?
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to pop any like custom stuff in, but how would one go about like adding, like, say I wanted to change the way the wall looks? Would that be possible?
We're in the next. Ask me that question again in 2 weeks, and I can hopefully say yes.
Okay, nice.
So this week I'm working on releasing some new tile sets.
Okay.
We have in the pipeline. We've got the medieval house, natural caverns, as well as snowy mountains and desert canyon.
Oh man. Okay, so you're going to have like natural environments as well as like dungeon and like stone environments.
Yeah, it works pretty well, especially when you think of sort of like desert canyons and snow mountains. They've got both those horizontal and vertical areas that we have.
Yeah.
And after that, I'd really like to enable people uploading their own, and so we can pretty much cope with anything.
Yeah. That's something that I'm really, really excited for, because we what we do for our show is Jay, he makes all of our maps in a program called Map Tool, and he does a fantastic job with making everything like really, really pretty looking and really cinematic and really helping to like visualize the environment we're in. And I think that if like something like he does could be done in 3D Virtual Tabletop, that would be awesome. Oh,
yeah, that's really the whole reason we went for the current tile style we have, is because it's really easy to skin. With like a single file, you can get a completely different look.
Exactly.
And it really adds to the atmosphere.
Now, Jay, did you have a question? I think I heard you pipe up for a second.
I've got plenty of questions, but I'm digging this explanation so far, so please continue on.
Yeah. So, a question I had actually is: we tend to simulate like forested environments. Do you have any plans to add like trees or things that I could pop that we could pop down, or like river tiles? That'd probably be more for like uh, the background image, which actually I think now would be a good time to show what I'm talking about. On Let's see, let me find it. You can Now correct me if I'm wrong at any point, Brendon, but you can basically make a map ahead of time in something like I guess an image editor of some kind, and then import it to be used as the surface for the map that you're building.
That's correct. So you can grab it from anywhere, like a published adventure, perhaps, or your own designs.
Yeah.
And that's like what you get on a standard virtual tabletop that you get these days.
Yeah. So like right here you've got the river on the side, and you've got some trees. Do you think that you're ever going to implement like the 3D trees or something? Because I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
of
so there
trees.
certainly are plans to extend the different tiles you can get, as well as like features that don't really affect the terrain so much. Things like trees that you have to be able to sort of move through.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been talking about the engine a lot and like what it can do, but what got you started making it? What was like the spark that was like, I need to make this?
That's a pretty simple story. The real genesis goes all the way back to 2007, nearly 10 years ago.
Oh wow.
At that time, Wizards of the Coast came out with a virtual tabletop as part of their D&D Insider program. Well, actually, it was just a preview.
Yeah.
But it was 3D, had customizable minis and lighting, and it was fantastic. It was miles ahead of anything that was available at the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that never got out of beta, and they shut it down. And I kept on waiting for someone to take it up or to keep going, or they had basically an exact template for what you need to do.
Yeah.
And basically, I just got sick of waiting for someone else to do it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so, that was almost 10 years ago, and it's still well ahead of anything that's available now.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast has quite the vault to tap into when making something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just surprising me that like people would come out with new tabletops and there's still the same old 2D thing that's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And there was a template from Wizards of the Coast about how amazing it could be. And I just basically just impatience.
Impatience, really. Nice. Yeah, no.
It's like, there's this really cool thing and no one's making it. What can I do?
Yeah. Oh, that being said, what game or games did you see yourself playing in this environment to start off with? Just D&D or something else? Like, what's the game that you're like, man, I can't wait to do this in a 3D environment?
I guess D&D is my first love, and I did basically have a few goes a few other things, but I think in terms of what my current gaming group is playing, that's what it is really. Certainly went to Pathfinder for a while, but now I'm finding myself back at D&D, and the real thing is I want that tabletop experience when I don't have the friends in the same physical location, because I find that a lot of the programs out there that it doesn't really feel or even look like a tabletop, not like that you play it with your friends. It looks completely different.
Yeah.
And I want to share that same experience, but I think there's a really fine line between making it feel like a tabletop game and between making it feel like a computer game. For instance, there's one of my friends who is a real proponent for one of the other VTs out there, or he was for the longest time. He kept on in my ear about how awesome it was, because at that stage he'd been doing a lot of traveling in different countries and things, and he kept his old gaming group going. And then he had the experience where he came back to his home city and he was able to game in the same physical location with everyone else. And of course he'd been using this VT, so he brought the VT along and started playing. And then he's like, man, this is weird. This doesn't feel like we're playing like an RPG. And basically from that point on, he stopped using that VT because it wasn't recreating the right feeling.
Yeah. there's like I had an experience in the past where I used to play a game called Mage Knight, which is similar to Warhammer, except the miniatures are pre-painted, and there was nothing quite like setting up ahead of time with styrofoam, carving the environments out of that and giving them that actual topographical feeling. And honestly, futzing around with the tabletop, with 3D tabletop, kind of reminds me of that. It's a very nostalgic feeling for me.
Nice.
Yeah, because I remember for one of my sessions, I cut out some foam and I had some little wooden bridges and things. And
Oh,
it was just
yeah.
fun.
Oh, nice. It's like
Oh,
it's
that's the
setting the
best.
scene. It like
Yeah.
every little bit adds to the enjoyment of the actual session. Like it makes it
Yeah.
it just makes it that much more real.
Yeah, it's great when you say, someone falls off the bridge and you can actually move their mini
Yeah.
vertically downwards.
Yeah.
And that's basically for the feeling I'm going for, because all you need to do is look at this, and someone who hasn't even played any role-playing games or any war games or anything, they can just look at this and know what it is and what it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes it immediately clear what's going on. Because like that's something that I ran into. I tried to introduce somebody to role playing games, and they're just like, I can't, like, I have a hard time visualizing it. I don't understand what's happening. And something like this, if we were playing in this, they'd just, it'd be a snap. It'd just be, oh, we're in a long corridor with benches at one end, and it's kind of like a monastery.
Yeah, that's right. Because I must say, in terms of the genesis of 3D VTT, there's also another moment which I can trace back in my mind. Is that I was running a game, and one of my players sort of opened a door and peeked through, and of course I started laying out the map and putting all the minis down.
Yeah.
And he got scared by what he saw there and closed the door and went away. And I was like, and I was thinking, what I should have done was only sort of laid out the ones he could see so he could go in further, before
Exactly.
that'll happen. And being able to put 3D boundaries down as to what he can see, what he can't see, and that sort of thing would be a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
There's also those options where, in the future, it'd certainly be nice to have different views for different players, where you actually have to explain what's going on, rather than everyone being omniscient and knowing exactly what's happening.
Yeah. No, it looks
Line
like...
of
Go ahead.
line of sight in general has always been like one of the hardest tricks, especially when you're sitting around a table. Like,
Yeah.
Figuring out which information to give and which to neglect in character and out is so hard and such a weird concept that, like, having a program that automates it is such a nice tool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's basically the next step. Once I've got the 3D terrain, so you can upload your own skins to put on top, then I can basically make that functional and use it for line of sight, and then that becomes a lot more interesting.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's a lot more natural too, rather than having a 2D map with sort of these artificial things. Like, what you see is exactly what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm extremely excited for 3D VTT's future, and like right now. I'm definitely going to continue playing around with it and figuring it out, and just like pushing the limits, I guess. That's just about all the questions I had, actually. Jay, did you have any before we close out?
Yeah, like, what's the next most immediate future we can look forward to as people who are keeping up with 3D Tabletop?
Now, the next thing is basically expanded terrain sets and being able to upload your own.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
There's a few things I'm really excited about. Cause,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
yeah, cause a great thing with this too was to be able to use your own creativity.
Yeah.
Because if like the typical 3D models you would get in like a computer game, they require a lot of artistic talent and tools and knowledge and skills. But with what I have at the moment, with a simple terrain you can skin over and be able to import your own simple 2D portraits that actually stand up,
Yeah.
people can play whatever games they want, and it's always surprising to me what people use it for. And that's basically, I wanted to put a scaffold for someone's imagination, then they can inject their own creativity and imagination into it and play whatever they want, however they want.
This is definitely something that I'm going to keep a very close eye on, and see what we can do with.
Hopefully I can live up to your expectations.
Oh, I'm sure you guys will.
So the website is, again, where should they go if they want to?
3dvtt.com.
3dvtt.com.
It's pretty simple, only 5 letters.
I can remember that.
And joining a game's as simple as sharing the link. It is very convenient.
It is extremely simple to join a game. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Brendon.
Yeah, thank you, Foss. Thanks, Jay. It's been really good to talk to you.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure
See how
for us,
excited
too.
you are.
Yeah. Farewell, everybody. Go check out 3D Virtual Tabletop. Bye-bye.